Welcome to the show, Jason Bible, Texas Real Estate Mastermind. So I'm calling it today. Today's about bottom of the housing market. And what do I mean by the bottom of the housing market? I'm not talking about the price of homes because that continues to rise. It's amazing to me where we've got folks that just don't seem to understand the difference between sales and pricing. So prices have been up. In some markets, they've gone down a little bit, but not a whole lot. In fact, we're up, I think, in Houston. Rob was telling me one of our mastermind students just refinanced a property he had bought, I don't know, 6-8 months ago, really big rehab, got a tenant in there, did the refi. We thought it was worth about 205,000 bucks. Guess what? Appraisal comes back at 220. That's a 10% increase in about 8 months. So here's what I'm calling the bottom of the market, meaning price reductions. So here's what happens. You list a property on the market for sale. If you don't get very many buyers, you start reducing the price until you find the new market price. In most cases, homeowners price their house above the market price. It's just a natural thing that they do. So it's possible for us to have price reductions from a listing price standpoint, but from year over year sales, it's actually an increase. So I'll give you a great example of that. Logan Marshami and our buddy Mike over at Altos Research have posted a whole bunch of articles in the last 24 hours, and I'll read to you a couple of them. We've already seen 4 positive weeks on purchase application data. What does that mean? Before homeowners go to buy a home, they fill out what's called a 1003. It's a mortgage application, and we track those as an industry. So the common knowledge is the more purchase applications are filled out, the more likely it's going to impact sales about 90 to 120 days later. So we're seeing 4 positive weeks of increase in purchase application data, which was at historic lows. I mean, it was like we were in like 1990 levels of purchase app data. So it looks like it is popping back up. Mortgage rates are expected to be below 7% by the end of the year. So one of the things I had mentioned back in February was I said, we will end the year with lower mortgage rates. And that is absolutely what's happening. We've come off 1% since Halloween, and it's been a little over a month. So we could see the 6s by Q1. Heck, we could see the 6s by New Year's, if not Christmas. My prediction is, and I'm working on all the predictions right now, I've got to look at a lot of data from 2023, and I won't have all of it until the end of January, which is why I don't do my year-end predictions or my year predictions until February. My prediction is we are going to whistle past 6% in 6 months. In fact, Logan put it in his notes here, and I'll pull up exactly what he said because I don't want to misquote him. This article was from yesterday. Mortgage rates went from 7.32% to end the week at 7.09. That's 25 basis points in a week. If the spread between the 30-year mortgage rate and 10-year yield were behaving normally, we would be talking about mortgage rates under 6%. The Federal Reserve doesn't have to do anything with rates. All we need is a little bit more stable market. And part of the challenges that we're running into has to do with the financial banking crisis that we had earlier this year, Q1, Q2. And then the bond market has been acting really squirrely, in part because the Federal Reserve has jacked rates up so fast. It's not the actual rate that's a problem. It's the change in the rates that's the problem. And it's throwing a lot of uncertainty into the marketplace. So if we just had regular bond yields, we had regular spreads on the 10-year, we would already be under 5%. I mean, it's absolutely, I should say under 5%. We would be in the 5s right now. A couple of little rate reductions, we are deep in the 5s, if not the high 4s for the 15-year fixed 820 plus credit score borrower. And what do you think that's going to do to real estate? So I've been reading a lot of really interesting things over the last couple of days, and I couldn't agree more. Here's what Logan writes. Hello, early Christmas present. Mortgage rates have fallen by almost 1% in a short time. And it's created 4 strong weeks of positive purchase application data. Not only that, typically about 1/3 of homes have price reductions at any time during the year. Last year, it was about 43% of homes this week that would have price reductions. We're now at about 35%. So we're almost back to a normal market. And oh, by the way, listings are 6% higher than they were last year. So this is all telling me that we are going to be in for a really fun 2024 as prices increase. So if you're that investor that's waiting on the sidelines, I'm Jason, I'm waiting for these deals. I'm waiting for these foreclosures to come blowing into this market. I'm like, it's not going to happen, dude. I mean, there'll be deals like there are just normally, about 1% to 3% of the market is distressed sales anyway. In fact, we've been at 1% or less for almost 3 years now. So keep that in mind. So when those deals start to come back to the market, everyone's going to run around and say the world's ending. I'm like, no, this is headed into a normal market. I had mentioned in last week's show, or the last show that we did, I talked a lot about Porsche and some of the other things that are going on in the car market. There's been a whole slew of articles and videos in the last week alone that, hey, the market's not crashing, it's just getting back to normal. We can't ask for those premiums on certain cars anymore. Give you a great example. I was at a concert on Sunday with my youngest son, and there was a brand new GM electric Hummer there. And if you remember when the electric Hummer came out, they were asking for $100,000 over list. Absolutely bananas. Now, some of you guys are a little bit older. You remember back in the day when they were getting like 50 grand over list on a PT Cruiser? Like, remember the PT Cruiser came out? I was like, it's going to be a collectible. And I'm like, it's not, dude. It's just a terrible little Dodge Neon engine and a little ugly box. Like, it's not a Prowler, bro. Like, it's just, anyway. So all these quote collectors and flippers went out there, bought a bunch of stuff. And then the real owners said, nah, we'll wait. And that's exactly what's happened to Hummer prices. There was a whole article recently that basically said the Hummer market has collapsed because folks aren't paying 25 and 50 grand over list, just not doing it anymore. And if you look at all the talk in the automotive industry right now, you can actually pull up a chart that shows inventory by make. And Dodge and Chrysler have the most, Toyota and Honda don't. So it doesn't really, depends on which market you're in, depending on, that will dictate whether there are price reductions or there are increases over MSRP, all that stuff. Anyway, let's bring this back to real estate. It's real simple. We are now the housing market is still in a recession, but we are through the thick of it. As long as there's not some crazy report, and this is going to sound wild when you hear it, as long as there's not some crazy report that shows the job market is taking off and there's 15,000 vacant positions out there and the unemployment drops to 2%, I don't think we're going to see a rate hike anytime soon. The Federal Reserve has basically said, yeah, I think we're done here. We're just going to let the market kind of stabilize a little bit. But a lot of the folks that I follow are predicting rate decreases in March, April, May next year. If that happens, and I said this at my my annual update back in February, if we get anything with an interest rate on a 30-year fixed rate mortgage, if we get anything that has a 5 in front of it, this market is going to go absolutely bananas. And how do I know that? Because I talk to mortgage and real estate professionals every single day, and they have said this now for nearly a year and a half. And that is, Jason, I have never had this large of a backlog of clients who are waiting on the sidelines to go buy something. I'll give you a great example. I'm looking in a community right now, actually 2 of them, and they are destination, water, vacation, but you could live there. One of those kind of markets. I'm looking at 2 of them. And the price on these houses, if it were a year ago, they would have been snapped up like that. They would have been gone, absolutely gone overnight. But because rates are a little bit higher, and if you're buying vacation properties, you're a little bit more rate sensitive. You don't need a vacation home. Let me put it that way. You don't need a vacation home. I'm shopping for another Land Cruiser right now. I don't need another one. I got 2. I got my Type R on the ground. Like, I don't even have a place to put all these stupid things. So if you don't find a good deal, you just don't buy it. That's simple. So for folks that want to buy the lake house, the little retirement community, the little family beach house, they're just sitting on the sidelines unless there is something that is smoking hot. But the reality is the sellers aren't willing to take those discounts because they don't have to. They're in, a 4 or 5% mortgage. In fact, I'll give you a great example. I'm refinancing a beach house right now. Got a phone call from my lender less than 2 weeks ago. And he quoted me a 9.5% interest rate. And if you remember, well, it shouldn't have been 2 weeks ago. It was right around Halloween. It was the week before Halloween, because that was when he hit me with the, hey man, this is going to be every bit of 9.5%. And I was like, oh, God. I was like, all right, well, I got to refinance it anyway, because I got to put some money into different projects and some other things. I'll be willing to, I'll eat a 9.5% mortgage. Just got off the phone with him this morning, 8.25%. So we fall on 1.25%, 125 bips in a month on a investor deal. So I would, like I said, it is going to shock you how fast this market recovers. In fact, the real problem is not going to be finding houses, although that's going to be an issue. It's going to be getting your loan officer on the phone. Now, why do I say that? Well, just about every single big big mortgage company, brokerage, all that. I mean, anything under the loan business has shed staff. In fact, entire companies have gone under. So what's going to happen when the market returns back to normal? 5 million, 5.5 million houses a year. You're not going to be able to get your loan officer on the phone. They're going to be way too busy. And here's what I can tell you. They're probably going to pick up the phone call of the person they've been doing business with through the lean times. They're going to take that phone call over somebody else's phone call they just met. Oh, I'm looking at maybe buying a property. Like, look, man, I don't have time. Like that's going to be the reality. I talked to a buddy of mine, and the way he puts it is, hey, we got rid of some staff, because we probably weren't the best staff, but we're retaining the absolute best people. And said, in fact, what we're doing is everyone's taking wage cuts to ensure they can keep their support staff on staff, because they said, we remember what it was like during COVID, and the market took off and we had to hire all these people, and there was just a fight to hire folks. We just couldn't hire them. So that is, I'm going to give you, of course, I'll give you guys more numbers going into 24 in February, but it looks like 24 is going to be, it's one of two things that are going to happen in 24. It's going to be a slow warm up, kind of like, this time of year, at least down in Texas, it starts out in the high 50s, low 60s, and then it's like 75 by the afternoon. So you're wearing like, a little jacket on, you got pants on, and then by the time it's happy hour, you're like in shorts and a t-shirt. Like that, it's that slow warm up. Or it's going to be a market like this. You're going to blink, and quarter over quarter, the market's just going to explode, meaning you're going to look around and there's going to be no houses on the market for sale. It's going to be multiple offers, what they call instantaneous sales, which are properties that go under contract when they're listed in 24 hours, is going to shoot through the roof. House will get listed, boom, it'll be under contract. It literally will, it will look kind of like what happened during COVID, but in a much grander scale. Because here's what's happened. COVID was, I got locked in my home. Hey, honey, maybe we should find a new home, bigger house, because now we're all on top of each other, and something with a pool. Okay, cool, let's go buy something. This is going to look entirely different. They essentially had the punch bowl taken away, and now they're being given the punch bowl back, meaning I'm giving you back 5% mortgages. Or it maybe even in some cases, it'll be a 4% for premium borrowers, tier 1 borrowers with a 4% mortgage, 820 credit score. When they get that punch bowl given back to them, based off what they had just experienced over the last 18 months, they are going to run like gangbusters to buy as many houses as fast as possible. Because they're like, dude, rates could go up any minute. Like rates could go up in 5 minutes. Buy this house. Just lock the rate in. Get my rate lock in. And of course, lenders on the way down are going to want to rate lock people as fast as possible, because as rates go down, you make a little bit less money. So like lock them in as fast as you can. So I think that is what we're going to see in 2024. I have read a ton of stuff. I'm getting ready for the year in review. Again, that starts in February. So the annual data is, of course, we haven't gone through the entire year yet, but we're getting there. However, it looks like right now we are at the bottom of this thing. I just don't see rates going back up unless something wild happened. North Korea starts shooting nukes off, and who knows, right? But if things continue to develop as they have in the last 6 months, 9 months, it looks like they're pretty much done. We saw the 10-year drop a little bit today. I mean, we're almost below six. We're almost in the 6% right now for your retail mortgage. Give it another 2 or 3 months, and we may be deep in the sixes, if not in the fives by Q2. But anyways, we'll know more here as the year end runs out. If you would, just check us out, mrtxre.com. I think we've got a weekend event coming up here at the end of the month of December. And it's Jason Bible, Texas Real Estate Mastermind.